Jesus did a lot of teaching that we read about in the Gospels, but there was one subject that he gave more attention to and more detailed steps than anything else, and that's this matter of conflict. He talked about many different things, but in conflict, it's the one teaching where he gave steps what you're supposed to do. And it looks like this. Remember in Matthew chapter 18, there's this famous passage where he talks about your brother or your sister sins against you. You go and you point it out just between the two of you. And if they listen, you've won them over. You can read this in more detail as we're going along. But I want to show you that in this teaching, Jesus showed us that there's steps to this. And step one is that you begin with a one-on-one meeting with the person. He said, meet with them just between the two of you. And the point there is to get clarification, to get reconciliation, and it's clearly a win-win that you're looking for in this. But Jesus was practical enough to say that sometimes that doesn't work. And if it doesn't, you go to step two. And step two is you take one or two others along with you to a second meeting. This increases objectivity and accountability. And the resolution here, though, is still win-win. But he points out that having other people present raises the temperature a bit, raises the accountability. And then if that doesn't work, he said, then you need to tell the church. Now, I don't believe that means you get up and you tell the whole church. It means you tell the people responsible for the church, the leaders of the church. So you ask the person to go with you to the leaders or to the managers of the company. And the point now is that the leaders are going to, first of all, try to mediate the two and come to an agreement. If they can't, then they will have to arbitrate, which means they decide between the two. And then there's closure. And at this point, there may be someone who wins and someone who loses because the conflict has gotten to that point. And then there needs to be closure. But Jesus said there are even some people who will not agree with that. And so he says, then there's the fourth step. And that is you have to sometimes remove people. And sometimes we move forward by subtraction. If there are people unwilling to come to any reconciliation, they want to continue to foster the war that's going on, they need to be removed from the fellowship or from the business or from the company. Because if you have people who are actively seeking to destroy within your group, you as the leader have to deal with it. And maybe someday reconciliation may be possible, but it may not. And this is a wonderful thing about Jesus, is that while he gives hope and he gives out the whole idea of reconciliation, he's also practical enough to say that sometimes you can't actually see it happen until maybe later. So I want to talk about Jesus' teaching now in light of the 5 levels that we talked about in the earlier diagram.